Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics.
Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 74. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the Labyrinth, Mike Christensen.
Yes, that's right. I was born a monster and thrown into a labyrinth.
Oh my god, you're the Minotaur?
Jay, that's my word.
Oh,
That's
I'm
really
so sorry.
kind of hurtful.
Horned person?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's clearly not at all offensive.
Hooved man?
You know what? So few people look down. So few people look down.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of
the
people just
hooves.
focus on these. I mean, they're gigantic horns. I
Yes.
have to say that.
It has made the headphones a bit of a production.
Right, which I have to ask, in the Minotaur community, is having big horns like a big deal?
Look, I mean, I don't want to say that it doesn't matter, but like, you know, you
Is
see
it
the guys.
how you use the
You
horns?
see the guys out there, they're like, I got the biggest horns. It's like, yeah, okay, how's your home life, buddy? You know,
yeah, I get what you mean.
compensating.
Well, here on Horns and Things, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
This is so
But
dumb.
first-
This show's so dumb. Hey guys, let's talk about comic books.
Absolutely.
Every episode, we talk about the comics that we are reading, and we think, hey, you know what? I think the people that listen to our show would like these comics. Or not, but they should definitely check them out
Yeah,
and
why
see,
not?
hey, Jay, when you have that thought in your head of, hey, people would like this comic, what is that thought this episode?
Well, let's delve deep into the recesses of my mind and take a look at Marvel's The Mighty Thor, written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Russell Dauterman. A very surprising thing for me to reference Thor on this show. I think I talk about Thor just about as much as I talk about Batman, which
It
is...
has weirdly happened.
It has
yeah.
started to keep pace, which is I'm very surprised by. But Jason Aaron keeps writing very enjoyable Thor comics, so I'm going to keep reading them. So I've talked about the original Thor one that he did, which was like the God Bomb and the God Killer. I recently talked about the Unworthy Thor, which is Thor losing his hammer and all that kind of stuff. This is the Mighty Thor, which takes place right after Thor lost his hammer. He became unworthy due to, I believe, the big arc was called Original Sin, where a big secret was revealed. We don't know what it was, but Thor became unworthy and couldn't pick up the hammer, and someone else picked it up, and it was a woman who ended up picking up the hammer, and there was this long run of people wondering, who's the woman in the helmet, who's the new Thor, and there was this big mystery around it, and it suddenly got revealed at the end of that run that it was, in fact, Jane Foster. And people might know Jane Foster from the Marvel movies as Thor's love interest in Thor 1 and 2, played by Natalie Portman, but Jane Foster's been in the comics for a really long time.
Since not day one, but early on.
Pretty early on, yeah. And she's slowly started to move closer to the Marvel movie version of Jane Foster. But right now there's one big difference, and is kind of the big...
Is it that she's Thor?
I mean, she's Thor now, yes. That is definitely one big difference, you're right. But there's one very interesting thing they have added to her storyline that has a big influence on her time as Thor, and that she has cancer. Mm-hmm. And this comic isn't discreet about it at all, kicks off with her in the hospital, getting cancer treatment. And, she definitely doesn't look like she looks on the front cover. She is frail. She's very weak. She's in kind of her human form. When she turns into Thor, when she grabs Mjolnir, she gets all like super powered up and like crazy long blonde hair and this cool outfit. So it is very much a transformation when that happens. But it's really interesting to see kind of that duality of her character, to know that even though she can turn into this god of thunder with all this power, she knows when she lets it go, she's going back to this frail form. And it's in some ways not helping. In some ways it could even be furthering along the cancer, and it could even be killing her. So it's, if anyways you think this would be a good thing, and it's not necessarily, but it's something she has to do because Thor is gone and the realms are all in battle. So it's a really cool comic taken from the perspective of Jane Foster. And guys, the art, the battles, the writing is all top notch. I just finished the first 5 issues and they're amazing. Mm-hmm. There's great dialogue. There's a lot of like the cast of Thor comics gone by are coming back with like different villains, different heroes. There's very kind of Game of Thrones-esque, intrigue going on in Asgard as well as in the other realms, and how Jane Foster, the new Thor, fits into it. So it's a really cool way to do Thor and kind of reintroduce Thor into already an existing quote-unquote Thor universe. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really fun. I highly recommend it. There's one line I wanted to bring up because I thought it was great. It happens around the 5th issue, so if you don't want to hear this part at all, you can certainly skip ahead about 10 seconds. But there's a great line where she's in kind of a bad situation, and she's saying how difficult it's been, but then she says, then again, when you're a 90-pound woman dying of cancer, it does feel pretty good to punch God in the face. It's pretty amazing what they've been able to do, Jason Aaron and the artist, with this new direction for Thor, and I'm excited for it to continue going on and see what they can do with this kind of almost new character. So that's my pull, The Mighty Thor. Mike, what's your pull?
My pull is also deity-themed. It is an Image comic written by Donny Cates, art by John J. Hill, Geoff Shaw, and Jason Wordie. The comic is called God Country. There's only one issue out at the time we're recording this. Another one comes out on Wednesday. So by the time this episode is out, the comic will have, the second issue will have been released. It is told initially like as this sort of tall tale narrator is like, well, I wasn't there, so take with a certain grain of salt, but I can tell you what I heard. And it talks about this storm coming into this small little town in West Texas where we meet our main character. He's taking care of his father, who is dealing with the loss of his wife and also Alzheimer's, and is very sort of aggressive and had to be like, apparently he's a very well-built man, and he had to be like restrained by the police in his most recent episode, and it's getting very tough. The main character, Emmett, is the old man, and his son is helping take care of him. His son's wife is like starting to like need to leave because they're raising their child around a very unstable man. It's very unsettling for the child to be cursed at. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very hard. And obviously it's a very difficult thing in real life, and it's a very difficult thing in this comic as well when people are dealing with that trouble. And then a storm hits and a demon shows up, and a sword, an enchanted sword falls to earth. I can't really say that much more. That's kind of what's in the description of Comixology, is that, this sword helps grant Emmett a little bit of clarity. And also, the comic's called God Country. There is a god in play, like, that is going to be a part of the story. I don't know anything about him or her really at all. I don't know anything about this demon or the sword or what's going on, but it's really interesting to see this sort of comic turn about halfway through.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That was a huge turn.
I mean, it's like, again, the cover is someone walking out of a storm, a multicolored tornado with a huge sword. I mean, like a 12-foot long broadsword, essentially.
Wow. That is awesome.
It's really, and the art is spectacular. It looks so good. It reminds me a lot of The Wake, in terms of like the art style, crossed with like American Vampire, and also with some little bit of Jack Kirby kind of craziness going on.
Who's the artist again?
There's a few artists: John J. Hill, Geoff Shaw, and Jason Wordie are the credited artists.
Oh, okay, very neat.
It's really cool. Again, only one issue out at the moment, so it's just sort of setting the groundwork, and which it does, in quite spectacular fashion, and then saying, all right, here's where we going next.
Wow.
What's going on? Because there's a magic sword, and some craziness is about to hit this little place in Texas.
That sounds awesome. I'm excited. I mean, even with very little information, that's a pretty solid hook to start with.
Yeah, really well written, but man, that art is dynamite. Whew, just gotta say that, man.
All right. Well, that sounds like an awesome pull. So, guys, with all that said, that'll take us into our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Batman. Robin dies at dawn. We're flashing back to 1963.
My favorite time.
Weird. Batman number 156. Written by Bill Finger, pencils by Sheldon Moldoff, and inks by Charles Paris. Now, Jay, there's a new Batman movie in theaters.
There is a new Batman movie in theaters.
I've seen it. You have not. You were seeing it this afternoon.
I am very excited.
It is very good, and you are going to like it. We are, of course, talking about Lego Batman, the Lego Batman movie, which is a delight, and I highly recommend everyone see it. And we are flashing back to a classic Batman tale. This is a sensational two-part adventure.
Ooh, sensational.
Robin dies at dawn.
Oh, no. So sad.
Now, the comic, again, old comics used to have multiple stories in them that were about 8 pages each. The first story is Robin on a solo adventure, because Batman is off on this mission, and Robin teams up with a superhero, a tiny superhero.
Ooh, tiny?
Named the Ant-Man, no relation.
Okay. Wait, now, I guess I don't know my history well enough to know if Ant-Man in Marvel was around yet, or if this was just the
It would have
Ant-Man.
been right around... Well, Hank Pym was around, but Hank Pym showed up in an adventure where he got shrunk down and pulled into an anthill, and then later he became a superhero. So he may have been around. We were looking at
Wait
it
a
right
second.
around the
Are
right
you telling
time.
me that Hank Pym in this scenario, not to derail this entire story, but Hank Pym got pulled into an anthill and then came back a superhero, much
No,
like
no.
Batman
No.
went to the Himalaya, like wherever
Wrong.
to train?
Wrong.
Okay.
He went into an anthill, and then in a comic sometime later in Tales to Astonish, he was a superhero.
Oh man,
That is my understanding.
that would have been so
I don't
amazing.
I don't think it was an Iron Man situation where he
Train
came
like
out.
an ant under the hill.
You take things to a very strange place.
You mean to the best place?
Sure. Anyway, I'm not going to talk a lot about this opening issue. There's a tiny little superhero who's helping take down gangsters. Turns out he was a gangster who was apparently killed by his fellows. I believe that's what happened.
Whoa, so he's an undead Ant-Man?
No. He was apparently killed, but his death was... rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated. Instead, he fell into a chemical pit. He got shrunk down. He's using this opportunity as a superhero to take revenge and, get them arrested, but also steal some stuff. And Robin figures it out. He tricks Ant-Man into battling a puppet version of Robin that's really tiny, tangles him up in the strings, and manages to, they're going to arrest him and they're going to start looking for a cure. That's sort of a broad strokes version.
Wow. There was an entire puppet battle that we're skipping over? My goodness.
It was 2 panels long.
Gotcha.
That's not a huge battle. It was just this tiny little Robin, and Ant-Man went to go fight him in the lab of this scientist who Robin had figured out the truth from. And it turns out he was just tangled in the wires of this
course.
Robin puppet. Very clever move. But Batman is on a solo mission, is what we learn. And he was being very cryptic and mysterious about what it is he's up to.
As Batman is not normally doing.
Well, I mean, he's Batman.
He's extra cryptic now.
Yeah. I mean, he's cryptic and missing. Or
Ooh.
absent, I guess
That's no
is the
good.
word. Anyway, that story ends with him wondering, where is Batman and why is he so secretive about his mission? Where is he? Where? And the main story, Robin Dies at Dawn, opens with Batman firing through the vast reaches of space.
Wait, what?
Like Galaxy Quest style, like column of light around him as he teleports through space, and he lands...
He's not in a ship, he's just himself
Just
in
himself.
like a tube?
Just himself glowing with purple energy, flying through space.
Sure.
And he does
A
not...
typical opening to a Batman comic.
He does not know where he is or what's going on.
Oh, okay.
And he lands on an alien planet. There's 2 twin moons in the sky, in the night sky, and there's swirling energy that fades around him as he appears, and he doesn't remember how he got here or why. He's thinking maybe his memory was deliberately erased by aliens. That is certainly
Sure.
a totally valid thing to assume at this moment.
Yeah. He did just get launched through space by purple light.
His utility belt is gone. That means his bat rope and his batarangs are missing, so he's essentially defenseless on this alien world and doesn't know why. That's the worst part for him, is the not knowing.
That he just doesn't have the information.
And he senses danger around him, and he's never felt so alone in his whole life, he says. Which is fair, since you're on an alien
Yeah,
desolate
alien world,
planet.
none of your gadgets.
He finds this ruined, deserted city. It's so ancient that the plants have overgrown it. But as he starts approaching, those plants reach out and grab him. These plants have tendrils that can wrap around and pull him up towards him, and it's very scary, and he can't get himself free.
Jeez.
As these tendrils wrap around him. He starts shouting, "If only Robin were here to help me! Robin, where are you? Robin! Robin!" And Robin runs up out of this city.
Whoa, what?
He runs out of the deserted city and shouts, "I'll get you free!" And he's got this sort of like garden equipment. It looks like a very long hoe mixed with
And it has a bat symbol on it, right?
no, you
It's
know
not
the,
his bat hoe?
you know the tongs that you use to like move the ashes out of a fireplace?
Yeah.
Looks
I
like
know.
a super long version of that mixed with a hoe.
Interesting.
So he's like slamming it against this plant creature and manages to get it free to drop Batman. But Batman and Robin start running as these plants are like following them, like creeping across the ground, and they're
Jeez.
just running, and Robin says, the sun, dawn's approaching. And Batman thinks, why do I feel so uneasy? Why do I feel that there are eyes watching? Eyes with human intelligence. And they turn a corner in this desolate wasteland, and they see a giant statue. This 4-armed statue with a sort of demon-y face.
Whoa.
And Batman says, oh, this must be an idol that the aliens worship. And then the statue comes to life. It stands up, it rises and starts moving towards them. This 4-armed statue that's about, 20 feet tall starts
Jeez,
chasing
with
them.
a demon-looking face.
Yeah, sort of like an Oni mask from Japan.
Does
sort of.
Batman like turn to Robin and was like, "Oh shit, did I do peyote again? Robin, did we do drugs again?"
No, he turns and says, "It's alive and coming after us. Run, Robin, run!" And they start running, and they reach this chasm, this ravine, and there's a tree at the edge of it with a long branch that they can use to climb across to the other side. And they get there, and the giant will also be able to easily step across, but they realize the ledge on the opposite side is weak. It's going to crumble under the giant's weight. It'll send him plunging into the chasm, and then this giant walks up, and you know what? He also knows that. The giant is very aware that this footing is not going to...
They clearly just misunderstood this giant. They figured he was a dummy.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, we have to find a way to make him lose his temper. At least that's Robin's idea. And then Robin starts shouting, "Come on, you big lug! Don't stop to think! Come after us!" And he throws rocks at the little giant. Or not the little giant.
Yeah, right.
The little giant. He throws
little
little
guy.
rocks at the very
20-foot
regular
tall giant.
size, yeah, giant. The giant picks up a boulder and steps across. As it puts its foot onto the place where Robin is standing, it crumbles. The ground crumbles and the giant falls. And the boulder falls. And the boulder hits Robin. Strikes him. This boulder is roughly Robin's size.
Oh boy. So it's a heavy boulder.
And, the boulder rolls clear, but Batman checks his pulse. But he already knows. Robin's dead. And he's holding Robin in his arms and says, "Robin sacrificed himself for me. He died so I could live." And he buries Robin under a mound of stones on this alien world far away from home.
Wow.
And he's moving through this desolate wasteland as the sun is rising above him.
This is crazy. This is a crazy opening. I'm waiting for and then he sits up in bed, cold sweat.
He says he still feels eyes watching him, eyes with human intelligence constantly watching. And he starts shouting, "I know you're out there. Why don't you show yourselves? Why are you watching me?" And this beast approaches, this beast that's like long, sort of like a crocodile rhino in terms of body.
Oh.
Not in terms of like his face, but he has like this two tusks and most importantly, these two big glowing amber eyes as it approaches him. And Batman at this point is too weak to fight. He's too weak to run. He lets it come. He says, "I don't want to live. It's my fault Robin died. I don't want to live." And as the monster approaches, we cut to Batman lying prone on the ground of a laboratory with equipment strapped to his chest and wires on his arms and legs and head.
Whoa.
And he's shouting, "Let it come. I don't want to live. It's my fault Robin died." And peering through a glass window, a doctor says, "He's had enough. Get him out of there." And he comes to. He wakes up. And Robin approaches and says, "Easy, Batman. Everything's under control. You're in the test chamber. Remember?" And Batman says, "Test chamber? I remember now. I didn't want you to worry. I left a note with Gordon to be given to you after 2 days." And Robin says, "Yes, I got the note. I've been checking every day since then."
Oh, so it's been a long time.
Been a little while. I mean, Batman's got some stubble. Batman's got some scruff at this point.
It'd be amazing if he came out with like a full beard.
And not quite that thick, but it's certainly, it's noticeable. And he sits up and says, "Well, Doc, how did I do?" And the doctor says, "You did fine. You made a simulated flight into space in this chamber that duplicates conditions an astronaut might go through if he found himself alone on such a space flight." And this...
They theorized that an astronaut would have to fight a demon statue and plants?
No. They're putting him under the same conditions that an astronaut would be in, which caused hallucinations.
Okay.
So, and this general who comes into the room says, "By volunteering for this test, you've made a great contribution to space medicine," which is
sure.
just a great line.
Amazing.
And he says, "Yes, the doctor says this data they've collected is going to be so valuable on the effects of an astronaut's nervous system.
Also hallucinations as well.
Your reactions will help us determine how long and what kind of strain an astronaut can endure in loneliness before his mind starts imagining things." Batman says, "I had a hallucination." They're like, "Yeah, we guessed when you started shouting about them.
The plant monster! Help! The demon statue is going to kill us!"
But just get some sleep." And Batman sleeps, and I guess he shaves because in the next panel he doesn't have a stubble. It's the next day, so I would assume that's one of the things he does. And the doctor says, "Yes, those were my eyes that you kept shouting about. I was watching you through the glass." And he says, "One of man's most primitive fears is loneliness. When a man is isolated for too long, the mind plays strange tricks. In your case, you imagine that you were indirectly guilty of Robin's death. Your constant concern about the boy's safety came to the surface in your hallucinations." But as Batman leaves, the general says, "Doctor, you look worried." And he says, Yeah, I mean, Batman's like an above average specimen and all that, but like even his mind can succumb to stress and shock. I hope there won't be any after effects.
He says directly to the reader.
Anyway, on the way home, Robin briefs Batman on the Ant-Man case, but then they look up on this building, this warehouse labeled Acme Loan Co., and they say, "Oh look, gorillas escaping with money from that loan company." And Robin says, because they're gorillas. There are 3 gorillas up on top of the building.
Okay, wow, all right.
And Robin says, "No, they're only wearing gorilla costumes, Batman. According to the police reports, the gorilla gang has been operating in various cities. Now they've come to Gotham City, so let's give them a fitting welcome." And they climb up the fire escape, and they start beating up the
Gorilla Gang.
The gorilla gang. And as the gorillas jump away to this nearby, girder, like this construction platform, they're just leaping across to it. And Robin starts running towards it, and Batman looks, and this girder does not look like a girder to him.
Oh.
It looks like a 6-limbed, 20-foot tall giant with a demon's face. And Batman tackles Robin like, "No, out of the way!" But in real life, he's tackling him towards the empty void where there's no more building.
Oh, no.
And Robin shouts, "Batman, you're taking us off the edge of the roof!" And Batman snaps out of it and just manages to grab hold of the side of the building. And he's like, "Okay, so that everything's fine. Everything's fine now. Thank you. We're good."
Yeah, that was a test to test your reflexes. Good job, Boy Wonder. We did it. You did it.
He says, "Sorry, I'm still a little shaky from the test, but I'll be back to normal tomorrow." And Robin
Hey,
thinks,
no crime fighting for like 24 hours. Take a break, buddy.
Robin thinks, "Yeah, I sure hope you'll be okay." But they get home and they say hi to Alfred. They say hi to Ace the Bat Dog. And,
Of course.
Bruce Wayne goes to sleep. But that night, Robin rushes in because he hears Batman screaming about the tentacles tightening around him. They're his blankets.
Oh,
And he is freaking out because he thinks they are tentacles. And, Robin says, "Well, why doesn't Ace sleep here with you tonight? That should help,
Yeah.
And Ace sleeps on his chest. It's a very nice, sweet moment. And the next morning, or the following night, I guess, technically, Dick Grayson goes down to the Batcave and Batman's suiting up. He says, You're not really going on patrol." And Batman says, "I certainly am. I feel fine today. Besides, with the gorilla gang in town, the police may need our help. Get dressed, Dick." And they rush out, and as they're doing their, patrol and stuff, they find this burglar alarm. They check the Gotham Trucking Company, and there are 3 gorilla-dressed men, leaving with, sacks of goods. And Batman runs towards them in the car. They get in the car, and they start driving towards Batman.
Right.
And Batman sees the amber eyes
Oh no, of the crocodile rhino monster?
of the monster, the basilisk-looking monster, rushing towards him. He says, and he remembers the state of mind he was in. "I don't want to live. It's my fault Robin died. Let it come for me." And Robin sees this happening.
He's like just standing there as the car's coming right at him?
Yeah, and Robin
Oh, God.
reaches into the window of the car and turns the wheel so that it doesn't hit Batman.
Hit me! I want him to hit me!
It basically is that Joker
Wow.
moment, but in reverse. And the car, just misses Batman, drives through some barrels of camphor, and there's a big cloud of powder, and it drives away, and Batman sort of snaps out of it. What happened? And Robin's like, "I'll fill you in at home, because we're going home
We're
now."
going home right now, and I'm going to keep you here for a while.
And he says, "Let's face reality, Robin. While I have these mental blackouts, I endanger your life. I can't ever let that happen again. There's only one thing I can do. I must put away my Batman costume and retire from crime fighting."
Wow. So not a Joker, not a Scarecrow, not a Mr. Freeze or Penguin or Apocalypse, but it was a scientist and space medicine that ended Batman.
Robin, the next night, suits up as Robin because he has to go. He has an appointment with Professor Carson about the testimony they're going to give at Ant-Man's trial. Mm-hmm. And he says, "I'll be back as soon as I can." And Batman says, "If you run into criminal activity, be even more careful than you would if I was along." And he's sort of like looking at his hung-up cowl and hood and
Kind of
cape.
bummed, yeah.
Yeah. But Robin doesn't just go to see Dr. Carson or Professor Carson. He goes to see the doctor that Batman was seeing.
Yeah, obviously.
And the doctor says, "Well, I was afraid of this. He will need treatment. Then he eventually will be himself, but it's going to take time."
What's the name of this doctor again?
He is not named in the comic.
Oh, okay.
But he does show up in later comics. His name is Dr. Hurt.
I gotcha.
So he was later repurposed by Grant Morrison.
Mike, I have to say, halfway through this comic, as you started talking about the hallucinations, I was like, I think Grant Morrison read this comic.
Oh, yes.
And was like, I'm going to do the Batman Zen-Ura thing
it's
based off of
tied
this.
to this comic.
Oh my, that makes a lot of sense because there are listeners right now who have no idea what I'm talking about.
If they read Batman R.I.P., they will know
understand.
that it is a follow-up to this comic.
So
but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Because right now Batman has retired from crime fighting.
Yeah,
and that's
retired,
certainly going to be the
Which
case.
is what he did for the rest of his crime fighting years in comics. We know Batman hasn't been Batman since then.
No, he retired in 1963. It's weird that hasn't been...
It's weird. Oh, we never talk... You know what's weird? Whenever I've done the reviews of current Batman comics, I never talk about how it's Dick Grayson. Isn't that weird?
Anyway, Batman's in the Batcave, and he gets this emergency bat signal from Commissioner Gordon, so he got to contact him on the Batmobile's two-way radio. There's a lot of bat-themed words in that sentence. And he calls Commissioner Gordon, and Gordon says, yeah, so Batman, the Gorilla Gang learned about Robin's appointment with Professor Carson.
Oh, whoa. They're very well informed.
Well, that's with the Ant-Man trial thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not with the doctor. After Dr. Hurt, he went to go see Professor Carson and was abducted by the Gorilla Gang.
Oh, no.
By the Gorilla Gang, not the Gorilla Grang. That's a different thing.
Right.
Probably.
Of course.
I mean, probably, right?
I mean, Grodd, Grang. Gorillas are all about G's in the front of their words.
The note from the Gorilla Gang says, Batman, we've sentenced Robin to death, and at dawn, we're sending him out of this world for good. If you interfere with our robberies again, you'll be next. So it's not like a ransom. It's just like, hey, just a heads up.
Just a heads up, we're killing
We're
Robin.
gonna kill him at dawn. You can't do anything about it. Stop participating in crime fighting.
Batman psychic?
Yeah, he did see Robin die at dawn. Batman suits up. He says, I vowed not to wear the Batman costume again, but Robin's life is at stake. Like, to be fair, he hung it up because he didn't want to endanger Robin's life. It's not like he's going to get more in danger.
Yeah, it's true. At this point, like, he's got really nothing to lose. Also, it would have been great if he put on the Robin costume to be like, I said I wouldn't put on the Batman costume, but I'm finding a loophole.
Batman goes and he does his whole scour the city, kick the doors off of hinges, and beat people up for information thing.
Right, yeah.
Which
is the go-to angry Batman move.
Yep. And he's
if anyone's ever seen like Under the Red Hood or literally anytime Batman's mad.
Yeah. Like Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That movie that everyone saw.
Yeah, of course.
But time's running out and precious hours are slipping by and he has no way to track Robin. And then he remembers, wait a minute, I don't have to track Robin. All I have to do is track those criminals. They drove through barrels of camphor the other night. And I have a bloodhound.
That's true, he does.
Or not a bloodhound, but a bat hound. Whatever breed.
Hey, even
Ace
better than
is.
a bloodhound.
So,
because he uses sonics.
Sure. That would be weird.
Hey,
if that was like, first of all, if Ace had superpowers and he's the only member of the Bat family,
and they were specifically bat superpowers.
I mean, I guess dogs still have super good hearing.
They do, but I mean,
anyway, they follow the tire tracks and the smell of the camphor towards the gang's hideout. We cut to dawn. And 3 gorilla-dressed men who don't have their helmets on at the moment. Their masks on. But they are standing on the roof of a building. And there's a little hook on the top of the building connecting to a balloon. And in that balloon is Robin.
Like, he's inside the balloon where the gas is?
Yeah.
Like, you know how balloons are inflated.
Oh, no, wait. You know what? He's tied to the outside. It's got, like, hot air balloon-like stripes on it.
Oh, gotcha.
I thought he was inside the first time I read this comic, but I'm looking at the art, and he is like, tied to the outside of the balloon.
Okay, I was going to say, I was like, that's very strange. I feel like he would definitely be dead just from all the gas and the lack of oxygen on the inside of that balloon.
I mean, people breathe helium. It's not great for him.
Not exclusively helium.
Wow, imagining playing that through if he was inside a building or inside a balloon and only breathing helium. Batman, come save me. That is Batman, I'm now very glad he's tied to the outside.
Wonder where Robin is. There seems to be a small sentient cat inside of this balloon wanting my help. I must be going crazy.
Anyway, they have an axe, and at dawn at this moment they're going to cut the strings tying this balloon to the building and let it fly away.
Wow.
But
what? I mean, seriously, what a dick move. Not even just
a Dick Grayson move.
Oh, they were
also, they're not going to use the axe and just cut off his head. Or
just shoot him. Or like anything that would have been very simple to do. They inflated a balloon, tied him to it, and then we're like, man, I hope that guy's dead. I guess we won't know for sure. We'll just leave him out there.
Well, they said they're going to send him out of this world.
Look, I don't know what I was thinking. These guys have taken their Gorilla Gang name very seriously, so I guess they back that kind of stuff up, man.
And there's a sound from downstairs. And so one of the guys, Pete, goes to check it out. He puts on his gorilla mask and goes downstairs. And he comes back out, and they're like, anyone outside? He said, yes, me. And he pulls off his mask, and it's Batman underneath. And he throws it at them and disarms the guy with the gun because, yes, they had both a gun and an axe, and they're choosing to kill Robin by balloon.
Well, via balloon.
Yes. But there's a reason why that happens in this comic, and we'll get to that in just a second.
Ooh.
He starts punching the guys, and Ace, the Bat Hound, runs up, but the guy with the axe drops the axe and sort of like throws it aside as Ace tackles him,
Interesting.
and it cuts the cords. Of
When he
the-
throws the axe, it cuts the cord.
Yes.
Oh.
And as Batman runs to the ropes, they wrap around him like tentacles. And he starts freaking out as he
Oh no, Batman! Not the time to be tripping.
and it says, will these ropes cause Batman to black out again? Will he imagine he is in the grip of the tentacle plants? And then Batman sort of runs away from them, grabs the axe, and just sort of throws it. And the narration says, so it seems as Batman sweeps the ropes aside, lunges desperately for the fallen axe, and hurls it upwards. Is Batman wildly battling the tentacles of his imaginary world? And then the axe hits the balloon, and he says, my aim was perfect. As the gas escapes, the balloon will collapse and gently float down to the floor. So he's okay. He wasn't fighting a weird plant monster. He was fighting the balloon.
Ah, of course.
Batman's
Batman's greatest enemy.
And, they summon the police to jail the Gorilla Gang, and Robin says, gosh, you were like your old self. You didn't black out this time? And Batman says, no, you see, Robin, in my hallucination, I only imagined you died at dawn. But this was a real dawn, and you faced a real death. Well, the reality of the situation, it was so terrible, it shocked me right back to normal. And they walk down the streets as sun rises behind them and says, dawn. The sun doesn't say this. The narrator says this. I'm
So
sorry,
in
that was
Batman's
clear.
version,
Dawn, once an omen of Robin's death, it is now a fitting sign that Batman's crime-fighting career has returned to life.
oh, Batman's back being Batman.
He was double traumatized.
And I was just about to say, so in Batman's version, PTSD plus PTSD equals no PTSD?
I mean, to be fair, Batman exists because of a traumatic event.
Oh, you're right.
He is in a more or less constant state of PTSD.
That's true. So,
I mean,
yeah.
again, there's different readings on Batman, but I certainly prefer it to the he's crazy version.
Don't worry, Robin. I'm just back to my mildly crazy version of myself. Gee, thanks, Batman. Now, let's go fight the concept of crime every night forever.
Let's go see if we can fight crime and win.
That's pretty awesome. That was a great comic. And I can clearly see how Grant Morrison took that influence for Batman R.I.P.
So for those who don't know, Batman R.I.P. is not about Batman dying, though he does get buried alive in that comic.
He does, very true.
It is about Batman tripping balls.
Oh, yeah. And also,
Batman
like,
being so psychically shocked,
Damaged,
essentially, so
yeah.
psychically damaged, that a second personality that he implanted as a backup,
yeah,
like,
which again
boots
is
up.
so Batman-y that Batman was like, someday somebody might like psychically trauma me, which maybe was a result of this comic. He was like, I'm very susceptible to psychic trauma. Obviously, I wear this bat costume every night.
So what I'm going to do is train my brain, build a backup Batman.
While I go crazy, that Batman takes over.
And then lets my brain restart like a computer.
Yeah, it is so Batman and crazy.
It's bananas.
And Grant Morrison-y, but I highly recommend it. A lot of people really like Batman R.I.P. It's super, super weird, but man, is there some crazy stuff in there.
I mean, Batman also dresses in like purple and yellow and orange and stuff in that comic, which is another Silver Age reference to the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh.
Yeah.
Which is what he calls himself.
Exactly.
That was an alien planet. He met a Batman from the planet Zur-En-Arrh.
So I guess he took that experience and was like, I will build a persona around this.
Or Grant Morrison
just loves
maybe retconned that into.
I mean, here's the thing: if he wanted to retcon that, it could have been like he used that persona from the Batman he met as the model of his.
The Batman he met was the persona.
Batman's been crazy this whole time.
Or that was the training of his mind. This is some super
Whoa,
deep
we are
cuts.
getting real deep. Only Grant Morrison is enjoying this at this point, guys. That was a pretty crazy main segment and very enjoyable, very cool story. But guys, that takes us to our game, Would You Rather? All right, this is our game, Would You Rather? This is like regular Would You Rather, but we inject comics into it. So, Mike, for this Would You Rather, I'm kind of taking it off of the theme of DC's Lego Batman has just come out, and I wanted to ask you, now, I think it's been pretty obvious in the show, for people who have listened to it, that we weren't too pleased with some of DC's offerings of 2016.
DC's leavings of 2016.
Yes, there you go. That's a better one.
We're not
So
great.
I ask you, if we took 2 movies from 2016 and threw them into the Lego universe, would you rather watch
monster.
Lego
You
Suicide
son of a
Squad
bitch.
or Lego's Batman v Superman?
Batman
Dawn
v
of
Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Now, why over
Will
Suicide
Arnett as Lego Batman.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I've only seen the Lego movie, and he's very enjoyable.
I'll tell you this. They drop in the Lego Batman movie, which you're going to see in like a little more than an hour.
Sure.
And I wish I could come with you and see it again, but I'm playing D&D because
How dare you?
Because I do two things in my life. There are a lot of references in the film to overt and undervert. Overt and
overt and undervert.
that doesn't even work with the etymology of overt. Overt and implicit to Batman's
phrase. I want to use that now. Don't worry, this is going to be a very undervert comment.
It doesn't work because it's not oververt. There are a lot of references, both obvious and a little more metatextual, towards a lot of Batmans of the past.
Of course.
And there are some explicit references to Batman's rivalry with Superman.
Of course.
And I would love to see that movie, except instead of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck, who I like, both of those.
Yeah, those are both nice people.
It's Channing Tatum as Lego Superman and Will Arnett as Lego Batman.
Amazing.
And of course, you'd have to get the other Justice League members in there. You'd probably bring in Wonder Woman. Well, you would bring in Wonder. You might bring in the Jonah Hill Green Lantern that's in the Lego movies because he's great.
He's very fun.
Ray Fiennes as Lego Alfred. Even though, again, the cast of Batman.
That's right.
The
Ray
cast
Fiennes.
of Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice is not my problem with Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Right. It is the themes and how that movie is
It
delivered.
is literally everything else.
Everything
about the
else,
film.
yeah, pretty
Every
much.
single other thing. Cast is fine. Jesse Eisenberg would have been great had it not been that movie.
It's true. Actually, I guess Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor would have been a little bit more palatable if he was in Lego form.
Or yeah, heck yes.
Also, I guess all that murder would have been a little bit. Either there would have been less murder by Batman and Batman v Superman, or there would have been. It would have been. I don't know how it would have been handled in Lego.
People would
movie.
have fallen apart into Lego pieces.
Yeah, into Lego pieces,
which is fine.
Which is, I guess, fine. It's still a lot less brutal than watching
Here's the
Batman
thing.
murder people with cars.
The events in Batman vs Superman don't make sense, but they are easy to follow. They don't make sense in the sense that you don't know why anyone's doing anything and why we're following these asshole characters. But you can follow one train of thought to another. Characters have consistent arcs until someone says their mother's name and it's like their kryptonite. Suicide Squad makes absolutely no sense and there's no likable characters. So Lego could like self-reference Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. I'm going to continue to say the full name because it's garbage and it's super dumb and we're going to keep using it.
Of course.
I'm also the kid who, when I was a kid, I would always say the full name of the movie, The Adventures of Buzz Lightyear, The Story Begins, starring Tim Allen. I would always say the whole thing.
Wow. That is a very long title.
And it was like, and my mom was like, just say Buzz Lightyear. Just say the Buzz Lightyear movie.
But it's not the name.
We know what you're talking about. Buzz Lightyear Star Command: The Adventures Begin, starring Tim Allen. That's what it's called.
There we go.
That was really bothering me that I didn't have it right.
Tell. I could physically tell.
Suicide Squad doesn't make sense, and no amount of self-referencing will help that. It's just garbage. Batman vs Superman at least has, like, I don't really care about the Lego version of Captain Boomerang and the Lego version of El Diablo because I don't care about those characters regular.
Now, what if Suicide Squad as a Lego movie? Because they're self-referential, right?
Yeah.
That's like what Lego movie did and what I imagine Lego Batman does for Batman. Obviously, with past movies and things like that, could Suicide Squad be self-referential of like those types of movies? So like, because Suicide Squad is basically they were like sky hole ending as well as like. People who hate each other who become friends at the end, like all the things that they think we all like and make up the best version of a superhero movie.
They tried to make a Marvel movie.
Right.
They tried to make Guardians of the Galaxy meets at the ending of every other Marvel movie.
Of Avengers, yeah.
Yeah.
So could it be better if it's a little bit more self-referential like that?
I mean, it could be better in any number of ways. That's a great start. But then you don't get, well, I guess you do still get Will Arnett because
That's true. He shows up in those scenes.
Yeah, he does. But like not really though. Because, like, you really want a whole movie of Will Arnett just being super aggro.
If only there was one out there like that.
If only.
If only.
Yeah, just a movie, which there is, of Will Arnett, Lego Batman being super over-the-top aggro and being advised by his butler to chill the hell down.
Nice.
Which there is, and it's terrific.
All right. Well, I think what we've come to the conclusion is that Lego Batman is probably good.
I mean, it is good, and you will enjoy it. Perfect. I think Lego could do a fine job with either. I would have more fun at a Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice Lego version,
especially with Channing Tatum as Superman. That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Well, he does play him in the films.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
man. You know what? I think you're right.
To be fair, they would probably give him lines.
Ooh, really?
Because he has 43 lines in
Well,
a
it's
2.5
hard
hour
to
movie.
be just moody and sad with a Lego face, so they really got to give you words. So I think
Yeah.
that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely. That bathtub scene will be really weird, though, with the Lego stuff.
Yeah, so will all the other scenes where, like, Batman kills a bunch of people.
Kills a bunch of people.
Kills 27 people, I think
When he
the
throws
number is.
that box into somebody and makes them, like, red blood splatter on the side of a wall. That's fun for everyone, right?
Yeah, when he shoots someone's fire flamethrower,
Yeah.
and the room is just filled with those little Lego fires.
Oh, man. I really want to see this movie now in Lego
Also,
version.
the gun sound effects for those who've seen the Lego Batman movie, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say the gun sound effects. Just imagine that through the whole Batman vs Superman
Ooh.
movie, and it'll be great.
Oh, I'm excited now. All right, guys. Well, I think definitive answer is obviously Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Lego.
Version.
Lego.
Wow.
Lego.
Guys, that was episode 74 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check
Although
out...
Zach Galifianakis as the Joker in Suicide Squad. No, not enough.
So not enough?
Not enough.
Not enough to get you there?
No.
Too bad. That's very sad. Well, guys, as I said, check out other similar podcasts.
Jenny Slate as Harley Quinn would be... But again, the problem with Suicide Squad isn't
the actors.
it isn't Margot Robbie, certainly.
Right.
It's not most of the actors, I would say.
True.
There's a few actors that are a problem in that movie.
Yeah, for sure. But guys, partialarc.com has different podcasts and stuff that you can check out. Of course, you can email us any questions or which movie you prefer over these two at becausecomics@gmail.com. Or, yeah, that's true. Please only the Lego versions. Or follow...
Let's not open that can of worms.
And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr, all at Partial Arc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen.
Yo.
At partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. If you like D&D stuff, he writes an article about that every week, role-playing and such. If you like, what is it, Mike? It is Star Wars Clone Wars series.
That's right.
You write an article about, you're kind of recapping the show throughout the many seasons, and there are a lot of seasons already in there.
Yes, I am most of the way through season 4 at this point.
So if you like either of those things, Star Wars and or
Dungeons &
Dragons, which I feel like statistically you have to like one of those things.
If you like me at all,
sure.
Otherwise, I must be intolerable.
This podcast must be infuriating. But guys, if you like any of those things, check them out. And thanks for listening. And remember,
there's another movie out in theaters right now that you and I both saw, and we greatly enjoyed.
Yeah.
And that's Split.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable.
No spoilers, but
Yeah.
if you are a fan of the early Shyamalan stuff, specifically Sixth Sense, Signs, and Breakable, if you like that Shyamalan, or, you know what, the movie he did where Rosie O'Donnell played a nun, if you like that one too.
Sure. There's one person out there like,
Yes, Wide Awake.
somebody referenced it finally.
Because comics.